My neighbor brought me this oversized jewelry box that she was getting rid of, and she knew that I would flip it. The first thing I do is grab my tiny screwdriver and take out those glass panels. I'm hoping that I can get those wood panels out as well to give this a more open and airy look. So I'm going to grab my screwdriver and just loosen them up. They're just kind of glued in there, so I was able to remove them, and I'm going to put paper inside the jewelry box. These are not actually painted glass. This is actually raised, like really thin glass attached to the glass panel. So I grab a razor and I gently scrape them off. If you do this nice and gentle, it just breaks those little pieces of glass off and does not damage the actual glass panel. Then you can clean it really well and you have just plain glass. So then I taped off the inside and grabbed a bonding primer, and I'm going to actually paint over the mirror because, like I said, I'm going to put a beautiful paper inside so you see it from the outside instead of having that big mirror. Then I prime the rest of the jewelry box because it is kind of shiny, plus I have to go over all that hardware. Once I have 2 coats of that bonding primer on, then I can go on to picking out my paint. And like I said, I'm going to be using a paper that we're going to cut apart. So I'll show that to you in a second. We just wanted to make sure everything's coated really nicely so the paint will stick. This is old postcard. It's a brand new release paper, and I wanted to use that beautiful flower as like a peekaboo inside. So I grabbed some water on a paintbrush and ripped the paper gently so I would have like a ragged edge to work with instead of just a straight edge. I'm going to grab some satin clear coat. I'm going to mist my paper with water so it's easier to use and get that paper laid inside that box. You could see me running my brush over to smooth it out, and this way it'll be wrinkle free. And with the wet paper, it gives you some time to play with it a little bit if you do see wrinkles. On the side, I'm going to grab other pieces of this paper just to add some interest to the sides. And then we're going to blend out some colors and some glaze. I put some colors on there, and now I'm grabbing some brown glaze and giving a varied look so the paper kind of blends into the whole look of the box. Once I get that all blended, I'm going to add glaze to the rest of the box for that antique look. So you basically put a little bit of glaze on and you wipe it back just to leave that antiquing. You can see the difference between the top drawer and the second drawer. It gives it a lot of depth. Next, I'm going to grab this new silkscreen stencil called Wildflowers, and we're going to cut the pieces that we want to use and use our thingamajig and some paint to gently push the paint through the silkscreen stencil, and it leaves a very precise, beautiful stencil, and I picked a color that it wasn't that bold. This just gives us some layered looks on the sides, and I love how those gentle flowers came out. I just keep putting it down and grabbing a couple more flowers just to fill in some of those spaces. I absolutely love how this box came out, and you can see that peekaboo flower, and that might be my favorite part of the whole box. Thanks so much for joining me.